Welcome to the show, guys. We are talking 5 bounce back players, guys that had mediocre seasons last year. Are they going to bounce back? Tim's got a list for me that we've curated together. If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're in the car on Spotify, Tim's got a new crib. You got to check out the background of Tim here on the video.
I'm here at the Yellowstone. I own this bitch.
He's got acorns. What's up with the candles back there? You got a special date tonight, or what's going on after?
I'm John Dutton, baby. This is how I roll.
Acorns. Those pillows look comfortable. And anyways, are you gonna get the fire going?
Maybe later. Yeah, I'm not too into the fire.
All right, Tim. So we've got a list of some bounce back players, and I want to dive into this here because again, it is early. I always gotta say the disclaimer anytime before the draft, right? Because we don't know until the draft happens, until the depth charts lay out. We don't know. And that's when I released 16 round draft solution. So if you haven't pre-ordered it, pre-order now, because 2 weeks after the NFL draft, you're going to get that content. You're going to know who to draft in each round. So get it linked it below or thefantasyfootballaccounts.com. Pre-order 16 rounds now. So Tim, we've got this list here. First of all, how are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm good, man. How about you?
Good. Are you ready to rock this?
Absolutely.
He's excited, man. And again, judging by the crib here, he's pumped up. He's ready to.
Things have been good this year. I mean, look at me. I'm stepping it up, baby.
I love it. I love the detail on the fireplace. All right, so who are these 5 players here, Tim, that you've got?
Well, the 5 players that you gave me, Joe. Yes, we curated this together, but you provided these names, and I don't agree with some. But I want
you to read them.
I'm actually curious to hear what you have to say about some of these. So it's pretty good.
If whoever these guys are, they're obviously top players that were at the top of their game, and they're probably living the same lavish lifestyle you are, judging by the background there in your house.
Well, I don't know about this first guy being at the top of his game, but we'll roll into him anyways. Maybe 6 years ago, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it was a bad year last year, man. It was a bad year, new team. And I miscalculated this. The Broncos miscalculated this. Everybody miscalculated it. And I don't have the exact numbers here. I'm not going to go back to every year, but I'd say in the past 5 years, he was always finishing as a top 5, top 10 guy. I think a couple years ago, he slipped out of there. But this is a guy that is consistent. He was anyways on the Seahawks, new team. You think Cortland Sutton and Judy and Sutton connection would have been good. We know Javonte got hurt. It was a bit of a disaster. It was a big disaster, not even a bit of a disaster. So this year, now he's settled in. We're going to have to see what they're going to do with that offense. I think they're shopping Jerry Jeudy around. Maybe they bring in a top ace receiver. Javonte's coming back. You know, I don't know. Maybe they look at a new running back. They draft one. It's going to be interesting, but this one's tough, man. I'm going to say that there's going to be a bounce back. How much? I don't know which Russell Wilson we're going to get.
Yeah, to me, this was pretty similar to Matt Ryan going to India, right? Like there was no marquee player, I would say, on Denver. Like nobody really. Yeah, you can say Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, but still fairly. Jerry Judy's only second, third year, and hasn't really proven himself to be a top guy yet. So I was a little bit skeptical, but I thought these guys had a better shot than Ryan did in Indy. Once again, so let me just tell you though, his passer rating last year was the worst it's been in his career. Wow, so that's a little indication. Bad. Yeah, man, it's bad. Also, his mobility is not what it used to be, right? I mean, 5-6 years ago, he was running fairly consistent. Now, not so much. Not getting those touchdowns that quarterbacks really need in fantasy to put them at the top of everything. If you're not throwing for major touchdowns, 40 plus a year, you've got to run and get some in yourself. So unless they do what you say, I don't know if getting rid of Jerry Jeudy's the answer, but they've got to bring in somebody marquee, some big ass playmaker that can get him some big bombs, get the touchdowns. Maybe Wilson bounces back to a degree, but I think his best years are well past him.
And similar to you, again, according to your background, he lives a lavish lifestyle. He's got Sierra as a girlfriend or wife now, whatever it is. The guy's loaded. He's had that big contract. So it's just like, you think that they lose that hunger a little bit, right? What more does he really have to prove at this point? I mean,
yeah. I don't think he has the passion and the desire like he did when he was younger. Like I said, he used to run like crazy. That's kind of stopped over the last 5 years. He still had some years with some decent yardage, but I think the passion dies down for the game, and they start thinking more of a tactical game, thinking they can do it all in the air and change up their system, and it just doesn't work.
Try to be more of a game manager instead of I got to risk my body because I've already been
Yeah,
paid. I'm rich. I'm famous. I've got a hot wife. That's that type of thing, right?
exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he definitely bounced back, but this is really going to be a telling tale on what happens for the rest of Russell Wilson's career. Does he step it up this year, or does he just simply ride off into the sunset calmly and averagely, if that's even a word? But
Yeah.
but definitely not the hunger that you get out of like a Jalen Hurts or someone young and dynamic like that. So yeah, I think he's past his prime, but maybe just one more year, and I think it's going to be a safer year. I think he's going to be a value quarterback this year as a backup quarterback with some top 10 upside potential. Depends on
Yeah.
what
Yeah. I
Russell will
mean,
get.
like I say, it was pretty much the worst year of his career. So he should be having a bounce back here to a degree. Is he going to be one of the top 3, top 5? No, I very highly doubt it. Cracking the top 10? Yeah, there's definitely the potential there.
All right, let's move on to the next player that could potentially bounce back. Will they bounce back? What happens, and who is it?
Now, this is a nice young one, so there's no reason why this guy's not going to bounce back. Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Justin Herbert had a bad year last year, and you can account that maybe to the injuries to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Obviously, the talent is there. They got a new offensive coordinator. Last year, a lot of checkdowns to Austin Eckler, short passes. From a fantasy perspective, just didn't really shine. He got banged up. I think it was one game and kind of, threw a touchdown in there. And it's just like, he showed some heart. And I like that. I appreciate that. Can he come back to it? What was he at? 2021 was number 2, I think, in fantasy points amongst quarterbacks. And this past year, not so good. Man, this one's a tough one. I mean, there's no way but up for this guy too. Young, dynamic. And I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I think he's playing for a contract this year. So he's due for a contract, man. I mean, he has to step it up. I think it's a big year for Herbert. Yeah, has to.
This is a young quarterback that's going to get paid. He's definitely a good future quarterback that they can build a team around. The problem here is they have some good guys. Keenan Allen only played 10 last year, so that was definitely hurting. Herbert still threw for great yardage, man. He still threw in like 4,700 yards,
Right.
I believe. So the yardage was still there, but the touchdowns were very hurting. In fact, not a single player caught more than 5 TDs last year.
Right.
Nobody. So Allen in 10 games, I believe, was at 5 or 4. Nobody had over 900 yards receiving. So there was all kinds of crap that was going on that just kind of set him back. I do believe that they need to look for their future number one. I mean, let's face it, Allen's getting on, still a great guy, great player, but he's getting on. It's time to look for someone else that's going to come out and be a stud. And right now they just don't have it. They have some very good receivers, but they need someone that's just going to be that marquee.
Yeah,
So I hope
absolutely.
they can go out and get him, but definitely Herbert's just too damn good to stay down.
And here's the thing, you're going to get value out of some of these guys. I mean, Herbert is not going to be as expensive as he was last year in draft. Neither is Russell Wilson. So there is kind of that, like, I mean, Herbert isn't going to be sleeper. He'll still be a high draft capital, pickup, but he didn't finish where he finished. He finished 11th last year, okay, amongst quarterbacks in fantasy points. So his ADP is going to drop. People are going to be grabbing your Allen, your Hurts, your Mahomes. You're going to see even like Trevor Lawrence up there, but Trevor Lawrence just inside the top 10, I think. I love Lawrence this year for some upside. He really turned it up and finished 7th this past year in fantasy points. So, you look at Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. I think they'll be going in and around the same ADP, right? In a 1 quarterback league anyway. And I like the upside, man. Bounce back here for sure based on last year's 11th overall finish.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, what else do we got there?
All right, so here was another one. So Jonathan Taylor, and what can you say, right? Like there were definitely a lot of question marks going into last year when it comes to Indy, and I thought if anything, Taylor might be the one saving grace because he's there. He can take all the little drop passes, and he can still run very well. But let's face it, Indy was just such garbage that it didn't help. He couldn't do it.
And that's the thing, right? So I want to get the credit again. Now, didn't say that Taylor would bust. I said just don't draft him first overall. It's very unlikely that a running back could finish on top last year. He's going to finish on top again. So you got to factor in a slight regression, push him out of there. At least maybe he'll finish top 4, 5, 6 if he's healthy. Obviously he was a little banged up. The offense was a disaster, this and that, right? Finished 33rd amongst running backs. So he's still going to be, I think, a top 5 running back this year in drafts. Obviously not going to be number 1. It's going to be like an Eckler and a CMC type thing based on what I'm seeing on Sheeps' rankings early on. So bounce back, obviously, but big question mark, who's the quarterback? Who are they going to draft? There's some good prospects at quarterback. I don't want to speculate on who it's going to be. So I'm not going to say anything. We're going to find out in just over a month. Once they do draft that quarterback, rookie quarterbacks always tend to suck first year. Maybe it's an advantage to them. Maybe they hand the ball off more. We don't know. Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, not the greatest connection last year. Maybe that improves. But Taylor, volume, youth, talent, upside, all that there. They need a receiver. They need a good quarterback. They need to get this offense gelling. He's going to be the best player, theoretically, on paper in this offense. So no way but up if he stays healthy based on volume and talent, but suspect offense.
Totally agree with you. The team around him is just garbage right now. He only played 11 last year, still did pretty well. I'm going off the top of my head. I believe he had around 900 yards rushing. Pretty damn good in 11 games. I mean, you'd like to see it better, but a lack of touchdowns, as you know, will kill these guys. A lack of receiving touchdowns also kill them.
861 yards on the ground.
Yeah, so pretty close to 9.
You added maybe the receiving. Yeah, receiving. Yeah,
I said 9. Who cares? 860. Come on.
I know. I want you to
bust my balls. Jesus.
4 touchdowns on the ground. Nothing compared to what is 18 the year before.
Yeah.
So that's a significant drop off.
For a running back to be a top running back, he has to be putting up 15. I mean, if you're talking combined touchdowns, you want him close to 20 even would be great. That's nice. What gets you the top spot.
I like those workhorses.
Yeah.
All right. Who do we got number 4?
Well, you just kind of mentioned him. So Najee Harris. I mean, last year I wasn't that high on him. I wasn't high on the Steelers at all. In fact, I think I did a bold prediction that they wouldn't win any more than 4 games. And for a while there, it was looking like they wouldn't. Oh my God. Thank God for their defense. Because other than that, they were just trash.
Yeah, he just lethargic, lackluster. I don't know what the word to describe this guy. Anticlimactic. I'm averaging 3.8 yards per carry on the season, 7 touchdowns. Over 1,000 yards on the ground, 1,037. Now, he did have a crap load of different quarterbacks. I think it was a Trubisky that started the season. Then it was like Kenny Pickett came in. I started pulling up here. I just want to take a look at exactly.
I really don't think you can blame a lot of this on Najee, though. I think the offense in general was just so horrible that he was actually amazing for what he had.
I want to say amazing. He was good.
For what was around him and what he had to work with, he did amazing for a second-year player.
And the thing that I like here, okay, is that obviously Pickett is going to be the guy. And again, it was a Mitch Pickett combination last year at quarterback. And I said it would be a waste anyway, because why would you get Mitch has done nothing for years. But anyway, they had to work Pickett in. They finally did. Najee had 272 attempts. This is promising, right? This is something that I look at. I look at volume. Now we got to see, are they going to draft anyone else? Is it going to look like a committee? But Tomlin likes that single back workhorse type scenario. He doesn't like the committees. That's what I like. I really like Tomlin for this. Okay. I think he's a good coach. Again, Najee finishing 14th on 272 attempts. When you look at it amongst other running backs, that puts him 5th in attempts. So volume and youth is still there. And he's eventually going to be playing for a contract soon too. So you got to imagine Najee is going to have a decent year and he's going to be better value. Because again, he finished outside the top 10. So he's going to be value according to Sheeps' rankings. So I'm liking Najee as a value as part of a robust RB strategy, but don't invest too high on him. It's kind of my advice on this.
Yeah, once again, I think a lot of his play is going to come down to Pickett, but then it's going to come down to the offense in general, the offensive line, everything. Yeah. Just to kind of hit on it too, once again, I didn't write numbers down, but I believe Pickett only threw for like 2,800 yards in 11 games. That's not good, guys. That's looking like he's a 3,500, 3,800 yarder for a full year, at least based off of his first year. I mean, a lot of things can change, but I think they have so much work to do on the offense there. I don't know if they're going to get it done this year either. So this year may be a bit of another crapshoot for Najee, but I definitely think the talent is there for this guy. I think even last year I said at the beginning that the best thing that could happen to Najee would be if he got traded. Get him off of that team right now. Send him somewhere where he can shine, and I think he'll be an amazing player.
Yeah, I'm looking at Najee right now, 12th on the Sheeps in PPR, which again is pretty decent value. So, it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see kind of where he falls in drafts. I'm assuming late second round, mid to late second round, maybe even third, something like that. But again, I think the volume will be there. I really do.
I'm still a little concerned, but like I say, I think he did amazingly well for what he had last year, what was working around him. So it's there. The potential is there. Just give him something to do around him. I busted your balls about this. I don't know why you even mentioned this guy as a potential comeback, but there's been some buzz. Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, from what I'm hearing, there's rumors he wants 20 million. He's being shopped around free at the time of this recording, free agent. Jets are looking at him with Aaron Rodgers potentially being signed there. He's gonna be signed there. You've got the Cowboys, but they just signed Brandon Cooks today, literally, or the day after, day before. So Cooks is there. So I don't know if it's Cowboys because they got the veteran. Odell's washed, in my opinion. I think he's washed. The media loves him. They're crazy about him. He just started rehabbing from his leg or knee, whatever he's hurt. I can't keep track of his injuries. His injuries are crazy. I got to ask you though, Tim, if he does get picked up, let's say it's not 20, let's say it's 15 million a year. I think he's gonna be a safe wide receiver too if he's healthy. But my big question is, you take the over or under on 5.5 games played? That's the big question. Like I'm not even, forget the bounce back. I don't know if he's gonna finish 5 games.
I'll give him the over. I'll give him the
Yeah.
over. If he plays the full year, like if everything works out and he gets a contract before the year starts and everything's good, I think I'll go over 5 games. But I still a wide receiver too, maybe on a crappier team. Like I'm just not impressed with him at all over the last several years. So
Yeah.
maybe give him a wide receiver 3 on a half decent team.
I mean, I gotta go back here. I think it was like 20, was it 15 or 16 was his last good season. Yeah, it was, well, in 2015, he finished fifth amongst wide receivers. I think he had a good year in 2016. And after that, it was just really just kind of a crapshoot, really. Yeah, finished
Yeah.
fourth amongst wide receivers in 2016. And then he had a good year. And yeah, that was it. After that, it's just injuries after injuries after 2 games in 2017, 12 games in 2018, 15, 7, 13 games played in those consecutive seasons. Like, 2020, 7 games played, and you could say, oh, all these excuses for him. He was on a bad team, quarterbacks are bad, he was on Cleveland, blah, blah, blah. Just again, they're treating him like he's some sort of superstar, like he's Justin Jefferson right now. He's just not.
The problem is he will make some highlight reel catches where he looks amazing and everybody will be like, "Ooh, gagas," they'll have flashbacks to whatever 100 years ago when he made that amazing catch. So to me, that's the problem with Odell. You see these brilliant flashes every now and then, but that's all it is. It's a flash every now and then. So he's been out of it for years. He hasn't been a viable fantasy receiver, like not
No,
a top receiver, anyways. I mean, if I don't even want to call him slow and steady because he's
no, he's
not.
not.
No.
No, but they're treating him like he is still this young, dynamic wide receiver, but he's not nowhere near that. And that's got to stop. So, is this the final year? They give him a 1-year deal. They sign with the Jets or whoever, maybe pair him up with Aaron Rodgers, something like that. Could this be the last year? I'm hoping that it is because I'm sick of hearing the name. He's been a rookie. 2014, he's been in the league, right? 2 or 3 good seasons. And he's hyped up like he's the
Yeah.
best thing since sliced bread, which again,
Th-
not the case.
That's why I was busting your balls when you even mentioned his name. I was
Yeah.
giving you the business, man. I don't
Well,
think he has
I
any.
just want to talk about bounce
I
back. If
want
he
to
does,
keep his name out your mouth.
well, I'm just picturing it. Like if he gets signed on, right? He gets paid 15 to 20 million a year. Will he bounce back to that Odell from 2015?
Why
The
do you
simple
keep
answer is
talking
no.
about the money though? The money doesn't matter to how well he plays. I mean, the money goes with
No.
the expectation of what he is, but that's not, it's got nothing to do with how
If
he
I'm
plays.
investing in 20 million in him, I'm expecting and demanding a bounce back. I'm not just gonna have him on there just to get
Yeah,
injured
but the,
again.
the problem is a lot of these owners are idiots
No,
that just
sure.
pay for a flashy guy like him. Oh, we
Yeah.
want the name of OBJ.
But he'll just be locker room drama. And you can see it in the comments. Every time you see him going to a potential team, they're like, we don't want him, we don't want him. Because they know, man, he's gonna be annoying. Now, maybe he's matured over the past couple of years, but even still, I wouldn't want him on my team.
Yeah. Okay, this is our last name. So you said 5, but I think we're actually going 6 or 7. Once again, Cooper Cup.
Yeah. So this one, I got a lot of heat for last year, which again, I was right. The thing is, I factor in injuries. Okay. There's so many variables that happen when a player does well off a top year and he comes back the next year. There's a potential bust. I factor in injuries in that. So I said, yeah, there's a good chance that Cooper Cup is going to get hurt. He's going to regress. Things are going to happen. Sure enough, He got hurt. And then I said, aha, I told you. So be like, you're wishing injury. You're a terrible person, Joe. I was right. He didn't finish as a top guy. And they're like, oh, he was paced to be a top guy. And he was until that injury. So the big question is, does he do well? I think he does well. I think he's safe, but he's not going to go back to the way he was a couple of years ago in their Super Bowl winning year with Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford is washed up. I won't say washed up, but he's at the end of his career. That team was built to win the Super Bowl, whether the fix was in or not. He had an astronomical pinnacle year. He's going to have a safe year this year if he's healthy. But I'm not, again, we got to decide what is he bouncing back to. And if you say bouncing back to the year he had 2 years ago, no way. I think he finishes definitely outside the top 5, even if healthy.
Yeah, I think I can kind of agree with that. And it does piss me off the way you talk about injuries and your predictions on injuries. Yeah, there's always a risk. There's always a chance. There was no real reason to think Cooper Kupp would come out with an injury. Not like, we were talking about Debo, who was being used as a running back a lot of the time. Well, that opens you up to a lot more chance of injury. However, Cooper Kupp did miss some time. Yes, he was still on target to have a great year if you take that time away, blah, blah, blah. If he comes back healthy, let's face it, though, too, he's not a super young guy. He's been around for 5 to 7 years. So he's not old by any, don't get me wrong, not old by any means, but the prime is probably in that 3 to 7 year range. So he's kind of getting on the outskirts of this. If he comes back, I see him having another very good year. Is he going to be top 3? No, I don't think so. Is he going to be top 10? Hell yeah, I think so. But he's getting to that point where it's almost time to start fading him away. Anyways, let's see what this year brings. If he gets that top 10 finish, I still say like next year is going to be a little more of a fade, guys. It's just going to start dying down a little bit.
Yeah, it was a consistent Stafford to Kupp, Stafford to Kupp. It was like every single play. And I kept saying, like, he's bound to get injured if every play is going to Cooper Kupp. Like every single pass was to Cooper Kupp. Like you can't, like that's a lot of volume. You just can't maintain that. And sure enough, it caught up with him, and he ends up getting hurt. And it's the end of Cooper Kupp last season.
Yeah.
Last season anyway.
We'll see what this year brings, man. I mean, hopefully he stays healthy, but even still, I say top 10 finish. Fade him a little more next year.
All right. So that wraps it up. The bounce back. We had 5. We gave you a bonus one there with Cooper Kupp. I'm going to say, again, never going to get back to that, for 2 years ago. People say, well, Joe, that's so obvious. It was such a pinnacle year. We obviously know. But I don't even think he'll come close to it. I think he'll just be a safe wide receiver. And that's a totally different offense than it was 2 years ago that won the Super Bowl, the Rams.
Yeah, man. Good call.
All right, Tim, good to see you, man. Looks like you're going to have a party there at the crib.
No. What are you talking about, party? I'm not dressed up for a party here yet. I don't want people coming in messing up my place.
You got some books on the back shelf there.
Hey, I am friggin' brilliant.
I'm wondering what you're reading.
It's probably all porn.
Adult books. All right, Tim.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon, and we appreciate you coming on. And we're going to have to come visit you at your house.
Always a good time, my friend.
All right, guys. We're out. Talk soon.
Take care.